Hi, this is Alessandra Edwards. Today I'd like to talk to you about the connection between heavy metals, gut health, and post-stress resilience. Now, not many people are aware of the connection between a high heavy metal load and post-stress resilience. Now, when I'm talking about heavy metals, I'm thinking particularly in terms of the big ones like mercury, lead, cadmium, tin, arsenic, and let me tell you, they're really ubiquitous in the environment, and more and more people these days have got a high heavy metal load because partly it's been passed down from our mums, right? And so think if your mum had amalgams, or she was a smoker, if you grew up in a smoking environment, if you're like me, a kid of the 70s where we had leaded petrol. So all those things are now in the environment and they get stored in fat cells. And the connection with resilience is that when you think about what resilience means, it actually means flexibility, right? When someone's resilient, it means that they're flexible in terms of the stresses that come their way, are able to deal with that stressor. You can think of it as a rubber band, and then you just go back to the initial state. That flexibility is required actually of your brain in order to be resilient. So resilience in terms of neuroscience means having the ability to have this plasticity in the brain where new connections between neurons are created. When you have a high heavy metal load, that flexibility is actually impaired because heavy metals actually create a jam inside the nerve cells, and in particular in the mitochondria, which are the powerhouses in our cells, is what produces the fuel that we need to work, if you like, and that fuel is called ATP. So that's the first connection. The second connection, and I learned this one from Dr. Bruce Jones, who's an amazing toxicology expert, is that when you have a high heavy metal load, particularly with mercury, that impairs your gastric acid production. So you're not going to be digesting proteins very well and breaking them down into essential amino acids that we need to produce neurotransmitters that keep us resilient and strong in terms of dealing with stress. The other thing that got me thinking about then is in terms of, having a high heavy metal load and poor gastric acid secretion, meaning that then you're not going to digest proteins very well. The proteins are going to reach your colon and ferment, and they're going to produce a whole heap of really noxious gases and chemicals. So I'm talking about ammonia, I'm talking about thiols, I'm talking about phenols, and I'm thinking in particular about people who follow me, who've told me who've got salicylate intolerance and really poor stress tolerance at the same time. This might be the connection that's missing for you that you might want to discuss with your healthcare provider. That if you have got such high levels of phenols being produced because you've got low gastric acid due to heavy metals, then your phenol bucket, which is the bucket that also accumulates salicylates, is going to be overflowing. And also the process of clearing phenols and salicylates from the body is actually ATP dependent. So you can see there the connection with your mitochondrial energy health. And the other thing is that a lot of digestive functions are actually ATP dependent. And so again, that could be the connection between, a high heavy metal load, poor digestion, and then increased inflammation, which is going to affect your resilience. I hope that you find this information useful rather than depressing. I think it's amazing that all this research is coming out because it's so empowering. It means you can go out there, and as long as you found out exactly what's going on, then you can intervene with precision nutrition and modify these pathways that are keeping you feeling unwell and stressed. I, for one, really love it. And if you'd like to find out more information, I'm about to kick off a program that I'm so excited about. It's really the best program I've put together so far. It's called the Reclaim Your Health Bootcamp program. So it's run over 8 weeks, and we're about to kick off with 2 half-day workshops in Melbourne. So it starts off with face-to-face live workshops where I'm going to teach you absolutely everything I know about gut health and mental health and how to intervene. And then we're going to map out your individual strategy of what you need to do step by step in order to reclaim your gut health and your resilience, and then follow on with the 8-week program. I hope you join me for the program. You can find out more information on the link below. Be well. Bye.